Um, Hello, teacher. Good afternoon, everybody. What you guys had enjoyed was study time. Our group is the first group to present today. We will deliver a very interesting presentation about the crash of Air India Express Flight 1344. Just, Nhi ơi, okay. First, let me introduce my group member who are on here to present a report of presentation. We divide our story into three main parts. Uh, First, it contains Air India Express Flight 1344, contains BE compensation and insurance, contains CE measure to prevent accident. First is Air India Express Flight 1344 general information. The flight was a repatriation flight flying back India citizens training Dubai due to coronavirus. The flight annulled one Bharat mission. Air accident. Air India Express Flight 1344 from Dubai International Airport to Calicut International Airport in Kerala, India on the August 7, 2020. The crash involved a Boeing 737-8 with registration VTASH and the manufacturer serial number 36323. Line number is 2108. The first flew on 15 November 2006. At the time of the crash, the plane was 13.7 years old. Number of
Đợi một tí nha.
Number of passengers on the flight, a total of 184 passengers, including children and 5 flight attendants and 2 crew members, were on board at the time of the crash. At least 17 people died in the accident, including 2 pilots. 123 people were injured. Now we have how did the accident happen? Friday, August 7, 2020, Air India Express flight is about to land at Koraiko, Calicut Airport, India. Calicut Airport in Koraiko is a tabletop airport, which means that the runway had downward slope at both ends. This can make landing difficult. The flight took off from Dubai. Van San Sel was the captain of the flight. A man with many hours of experience with Boeing aircraft. Weather during the plane approach to the airport was issued, with local reports saying heavy rain was falling on the town and the slippery runway contributed to the plane skidding off the runway. Rainfall rate report to between 1 and 3 inches per hour. Flight with low visibility, the former Indian Air Force test pilot cycled the airport before asking the air traffic controller (ATC) to change the runway. ATC approved the request and allowed Air India Express Flight 1344 to land on runway 10 after an unsuccessful approach to runway 28 due to bad weather and at Koraiko with heavy rain and high wind. They attempt to land on runway 10 for a second landing. They will try to land on runway 10, but the weather doesn't help when it rains heavily. At 19:39 local time, the wind gusts at 29 km per hour, possibly 2,000 meters. This will not be an easy landing. Braking performance on the runway is poor due to heavy rainfall. Third reversal spoiler applied and braking, but the plane did not brake fast enough. Coming up the runway, the situation became there were no signs of Boeing 737 crash down into the canyon 9 meters high. During the skirt, the plane went down an embankment about 35 feet, eventually colliding with a wall and causing the ship to crash. The plane broke in two. During rescue effort, workers found that the plane was completely filled with water, breaking in half, no impact, no fire after the accident. Further investigation. While investigators say the cause of the Air India plane crash will likely not know for a year or more, the early stage of the inquiry has focused on action of pilot Deepak Sel, a former test pilot with the India Air Force. Officials had indicated that the airliner did not touch down on runway 10 until flying over approximately one-third of its length, more than 3,000 feet. The weather conditions at the pilot flight on August 7th required the plane to touch down within the first 500 feet of the runway or perform a go-around, said Arun Kumar, India Director General of Civil Aviation. This report had report that the pilot drew to lane with tailwind, which could be a cause of airplane landing beyond the touchdown zone and too fast for the conditions. The weather at the time of India plane crash is another issue that investigators will consider in their report. In the midst of monsoon season, the pilot attempted to land during a torrential downpour on the day of Coracle crash. A landslide in another part of Kerala killed at least 20 people. Passengers also said that the flight crew announcement led to confusion in the cabin. According to report, the in-flight announcements were made both Hindi and English, the two most widely spoken languages in India. However, most of passengers aboard Air India Flight 1344 were working-class people who spoke Malayalam, the language spoken in Kerala. Some passengers may not have known that they were supposed to be wearing their seatbelt when the flight landing. Perhaps if they had known, more lives could have been saved. Lastly, according to the New York Times, runway 10 at the Coracle Calicut International Airport is dangerous. In 2011, a report submitted to India Civil Aviation Agency noted that flights that land on runway 10 when the prevailing conditions include rain and tailwind are endangering the life of all the board. Basically, a runway on the tabletop as how high a flight landing in. However, with heavy rain, the plane may skirt off the runway. In addition, such type can often create an optical illusion that appears to closely resemble reality. Civil Aviation Chief Captain Mohan Ranganathan said that the runway Calicut had a low slope and there was no side area. When people combine with gusty wind and the sliding condition, the rainwater grid, it becomes even more dangerous. Next is a representative of V.
Hello, class. MV will introduce about the compensation and insurance of the accident. In section B, we will have four parts. 1. Air India Express insurance contract. 2. How did the airlines compensate their passengers? 3. Air India Express and insure. 4. lawsuit is related to the compensation. And now we discuss about Air India Express insurance contract. Globally, airlines buy insurance policies to cover asset damage, customer liability, and third-party claims. Air India fleet is insured for around $10 billion, and the airlines has a liability cover of $700 million. The policy underwritten by four public sector insurance companies. The policy was renewed in April with annual premium of around $30 million in 2020 and 2021. State-run carrier in Air India is believed to have roughed in Reliance General Insurance, part of a new Empire Group, as an insurer for its entire fleet. The new cover is provided by consortium led by Reliance General Insurance, with HDFC Aero, Purchase Allianz, and EFCO Tokyo General Insurance being part of the consortium. Air India has also paid its first premium as a part of tender process, which warrant the premium to be paid to the insurance company in 4 installments during the tenure of the cover. Reliance General Consortium is said to have quoted a premium of about $24.2 million for a total insurance cover of $8.5 billion. The insurance would cover aircraft, passenger, and third-party claims. Earlier public sector insurer New India Assurance has acquired National Aviation of the Company of India. It's called NATO. The holding company for Air India are flouting the tender norms for about 45,000 rupee insurance cover for Air India fleet to favor of the consortium led by a new Empire Group firm. But the latter refuted the allegation. Air India Express bought type of insurance. To begin with, public liability insurance. This coverage often referred to as third-party liability covers aircraft owners for damage that their aircraft to third-party property. It doesn't provide coverage for damage to the insured aircraft itself or coverage for passenger interest on the insured aircraft. After an accident, an insurance company will compensate victims for their losses. But if a settlement cannot be reached, then the case is usually taken to court to decide liability and the amount of damage. The second, passenger liability insurance. Passenger liability protects passengers riding in the accident aircraft who are injured or killed. In many countries, this coverage is mandatory only commercial or large aircraft. Coverage is often sold on per-seat basis, with specified limits for each passenger seat. In addition, combined single limit coverage combine public liability and passenger liability coverage into single coverage with a single overall limit per accident. This type of coverage provide more flexibility in paying claims for liability, especially if passengers are injured but little damage is done to third-party property on the road. Next, rail risk health insurance not in motion. This provides coverage for insured aircraft against damage when it is on the road and not in motion, which would provide protection for the aircraft for such events as fire, theft, vandalism, flood, mudslide, animal damage, wind or hailstorm, on aircraft checking the aircraft. Besides, ground risk health insurance in motion. This coverage similar to ground risk health insurance not in motion, but it provides coverage while the aircraft is taxiing, but not while taking off or landing. Normally, coverage ceases at the start of the takeoff roll and is in force only once the aircraft has completed its subsequent landing. The last, in-flight insurance. In-flight coverage protects an insurance aircraft against damage during on phases of flight and ground operation, including while parked or stored. Naturally, it is more expensive than not in motion coverage, since most aircraft are damaged while in motion. The next, we will talk about part 3 in season B.
Hello everyone, I'm Yi. Now I will introduce for you Air India Express as an insurer. Air India Express established a passenger information center and a toll-free number has been made available for the family or friends who may have been on board flight IX1344. Emergency Command Center was immediately activated after the news of the accident. The emergency response team member and CHIO team have already been sent to the accident scene and will render necessarily help to assist the emergency services and the local authorities. Next, the Air India Express completed the disbursement of interim compensation to all passengers on this flight and then of kin of the deceased passenger soon after the accident. An interim compensation of $14,000 for the families of the deceased above the age of 12 years, and $7,000 for below the age of 12. And then for seriously injured, they will receive $2,800. And the last is for those who sustain minor injuries, they will receive $700. It was also announced that the medical expense of the injury would be borne by the state government. Next, a compensation of 10 lakh rupee to the next of kin of each passenger who died in the Air India Express that took place in Karipur International Airport yesterday. All the accident victims will be tested for COVID, including those who died in the crash. So far, the only one victim has tested positive for coronavirus. Apart from the solicitation for the victim, the state government will bear the treatment expense of all those injured in this unfortunate plane crash, irrespective of the hospital they are in. And then the Union Civil Aviation Minister Hardip Singh Puri flew down to the Kozhikode and visited, and then they will visit the accident site with his ministerial colleagues, Muralidharan and others. So the union minister announced an interim relief of 10 rupee club for each of those who died, and 2 rupee for the serious injured, and 50,000 rupee for those who suffer minor injuries. And next, the Union Civil Aviation Minister said that the Air India aircraft are rapidly insured and the discussion will be made with the passenger and their family after this crash landing at the appropriate juncture in life with the Montreal Convention of International Civil Aviation Organization. They also assured the kin of victims that steps would be taken to get them compensation in line with an International Convention of International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. Yeah, I have finished my part, so now my friend will introduce for you how did the airline compensate their passenger.
Hi everyone. So I'm responsible for giving you some information on the how the airlines compensate their passengers. So the air crash involved a Boeing 737 plane that overshot the runway at the Calicut International Airport on August 7th. 21 fatalities were recorded, including both pilots, out of the 190 occupants on the plane. More than 100 people were injured. It was a total loss, an aviation industry source says, referring to the 13-year-old aircraft which broke into two parts after landing in heavy rain in Cohico. In a statement, Air India Express said is inadequately insured and will pay compensation in accordance with applicable law at the appropriate juncture. While the Air India Express is expected to get full insured amount for the whole loss, it would be have to pay compensation to the kin deceased and injured passengers as per applicable laws. The compensation would be paid from its liability cover. New India Insurance, which is one of the primary insurers of Air India, has paid 378.83 rupees crore as a home claim to the airlines. This was the highest ever payout in Indian aviation insurance market, arising out of the crash. The home claim was made within 2 working days after receiving the necessary documents from the reinsurers, he says. The Air India Express plane crash, which happened this year in August, has cost Indian insurers and global reinsurers 660 rupee crore of the total rupee 660 crore. 51 million is the home claim and the 38 million for the liability that may arise for passengers who die, injured, etc. in the crash. Besides this, New India Assurance also have paid 475,000 US dollar for the liability immediately relieved to the passenger affected. More than 95% of Air India Express assurance account is reinsured in the London market, with AIG, ISA, Allianz, and GIC among those providing reinsurance capacity. As per the Montreal Convention Treaty, the AI Express will have to pay a compensation of around 1.30 rupees crore each to the kin of victims of the plane crash. The treaty imposes penalties on the airlines for the death of passengers due to negligence. New India Assurance, which is one of the primary insurers of Air India, has paid 378.83 rupee crores as a home claim to the airlines. The company's CMD Atul told the Indian Express. This was the highest ever payout in Indian aviation insurance market arising out of the crash. The home claim was made within 2 working days after receiving the necessary document from the reinsurer. Apart from paying the full settlement for the home claim, the NIA also paid 3.50 rupees crore for liability to passengers affected. He said that all liability claims will be paid after completion of the profiling of each and every passenger. The country's alleged general insurers added that it will assess other liabilities which may arise in the due course. The payment may take some time due to the documentation process at the reinsurers and as an interim compensation. Air India said the family of all 190 people on board have been paid by its insurance company. Therefore, primary insurers of Air India is New India Assurance, National Insurance Company, Oriental Insurance Company, and United India Insurance Company. The share of New India in the premium and claims will be 40%, and the balance of 60% will be shared equally by the National Insurance, Oriental Insurance, and United India. Industry officials told IANS that the direct claims hit for the quantum of four insurers will be only about 10% of the aircraft value. The balance value of the risk has been reinsured with Indian's reinsurer GIC rate, 5% obligator section, and 85% with reinsurers with the lead underwriter. The Air India Express will get about 374 rupee crores toward the loss of its Dubai Kohico aircraft in its accident in Kohico Airport in August 2020. The total claim amount to be paid to Air India Express for the loss of aircraft crew will be about 51 million. The aircraft has been insured for 50 million, which will be based as a total loss. A sum of $1 million will also be paid towards increased cost of working. The airline has to submit the necessary document called for by the lead reinsurer. Once that is done, the claim will be processed. The claim payment to Air India Express will be made by the lead primary insurer and recovered from the lead reinsurer. As a part of the claims procedure, the insurer or reinsurer will call for documents like the accident investigation report, aircraft maintenance logbook, and pilot logbook, among others. The next part is a lawsuit related to the compensation.
I will talk about the losses in related to the compensation. First, the family of the crash victim said that they only received temporary compensation from Air India Express and the Kerala state government after the crash, but they deserve more based on the losses they suffered. The victim claimed that Air India Express is forcing passengers to accept meager compensation. The Caribou Air Accident Victim Action Forum, with the support of the Malabar Development Forum, planned to launch a strong attack at Air India Express, evaded support for about 100 passengers was seriously injured, despite the 1999 Montreal Convention emphasizing the rights of air passengers in the event of an incident. The victim family argues that the compensation offered by the airlines to the injured passengers was bigger compared to the actual cost of their treatment, and that the airline representative had harassed the passenger, forcing them to accept what's being offered and exploit the financial burden that they are carrying. The airline received 640 crore rupees from the insurance companies. They could easily compensate all the passenger properly, they said. Besides the 19 people who died, there was 165 other passengers on the flight. Among them, about 100 people were seriously injured in the incident. Passengers have not yet received the compensation for the deceased announced by the central government, nor the treatment support offered by the state government. The state withdrew the offer because the airline was handling it, but now that the airline is also withdrawing, the passenger with 1,000 of rupee worth of surgery pending are left in a dire condition. A lawyer representing the family told the College Times that legal notice was sent to the UAE offices of Air India Express, New India Insurance Company, and airline manufacturer Boeing last week to claim compensation $7 million for damage incurred in the accident. And the last part is for Cham.
Hello everyone, my name is Jam. I represent Facilitation Learns Aviation Safety Solution. It just follows to increase their rely preparation to ensure that they have all of the necessary information for the line and to carefully study the diagram of landing airport during the line when conditions permit. Consider the destination airport air traffic control tower easily to obtain meteorological information, meter, and landing route to allow a request time to repair. Department requested the Vietnam Line Management Corporation in its supervision of aircraft operation during the approach and landing phase until the aircraft flies from the runway to provide warnings. Similar accidents should be avoided as soon as possible. The Civil Aviation Administration of Vietnam demands that the Regional Airport Authority increase its safety inspection and supervision of the airline, air traffic service provider for operator and investor, maintenance operation, improve their ability to check aircraft maintenance activities, assess and investigate maintenance, slider and spray preventative measure aviation service provider should improve change management and risk management, laying special attention to change in infrastructure, line rules, line procedure, and line aircraft style to ensure that safety risks are identified and mitigation and prevention action are taken. Continue to delete and swiftly apply the SMS requirement to new operation and individual involved in aviation activity. Last but not least, never ignore insurance. Lying, owning, or simply reading an aircraft can be a telling different risk can involve a variety of factors from aircraft to routers, pilots, passenger, cars on the tarmac, and so much more. For this reason, when the catastrophe happens, that the cost issues insurance. On the other hand, it cannot help avoiding catastrophe, but it can minimize the cost. Aviation insurance cover allows deducting from for management, property damage, loss of cargo, or injury to the traveler. On this line of insurance is designed to protect aircraft owner, operator, and passenger. That's all. Thank you for watching.
So this is the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening and sorry for unexpected phones that we made during the presentation. In case you have any questions, just directly send in the text box and we will give you a reasonable answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. It's a very nice one. And for the classmates, do you have any questions for this group? Please speak on your microphone or tap on the chat box. Okay, so if you don't have any opinion, I have some comment for you. For this group, you have your slide. You presented the slides beautiful, clear, and you also use the video to illustrate what you're talking about accidents. And you have also applied all the information on the knowledge that you have learned into your presentation, for example, such as the insurance products. And I see that you also have the profile study on the insurance company, and also all of the mode of payment, and also apply the lawsuits in it. It's very interesting information. It's very good one. And at the end of the slide, you also have the lesson learned for not only for your group, but also the proposal for your classmates as well. And however, I see that you still have some orthograph faults that require you to check. And for these points, most of you have make this fault. For example, you have a group of 5 persons, you have to delegate the 1 person to check all of the information of your presentation to be accurate before submitting to me. I see many faults like that. Is very and it's very unpleasant to see that fault. So remember that. And all of the groups now, you have learned that it's my complimentary that you all put on of your references at the end of the slide. Okay, for your presentation of each person, I give you the mark of 8. All of you, and Nguyễn Ngọc Duy will have the 8.5. And your group, you need to improve your English by speaking more and practice more often. Okay,